Excellent. Well, welcome. Today, Shred Strong Crew, we're going to be talking about some identity, values, and goals. Just a quick overview. It will be a little bit more reminiscent of things if you've read Atomic Habits or other literature that is related to habits. Tiny Habits is another really good book if you haven't read that yet, because I know everyone talks about James Clear, but the original habit guru, besides obviously, Stephen Covey and things like that are going to be it's going to be BJ Fogg. So BJ Fogg is actually the person who inspired James Clear. And James Clear did a lot of his training under BJ Fogg. So it's kind of interesting, a little bit of backstory. BJ Fogg's book is called Tiny Habits. Sounds a lot like Atomic Habits, doesn't it? So yeah, there's only so many ways you can spin the word habit, right? But it is going to be reminiscent of any of that type of literature. If you did read that, either of those books along the way, then yeah, it will sound very familiar. But I'm going to put my own little Jen spin on things and just identify things that I feel like work really well for folks who I've worked with over the years. And my aim is that yeah, you're going to leave this session and feel refreshed, like you can put forth some of these things for your own goals. So first things first, I know that we talked about earlier with Shred Strong a little bit of we were kind of going back and forth over the outline in the app, the new updated app. It's so much more user friendly, a lot easier on the eyes. I know it takes some getting used to hanging there, friends. They are making ongoing updates every month, but the thing that I wanted to outline is the kettlebell icon. Okay, so that kettlebell icon on the app or in the app rather, it's going to be your bread and butter for really learning everything of what's going on in any given week for the training that you're in. And I'm going to actually pull up my own personal account here for a moment. I did already have it pulled up, but it just went sleepy time. So I need to wake it up again. All right, so I'm pulling up my trainer eyes. This is going to be the screen that is going to be very reminiscent of what you see. All right. And you're going to have your daily nutrition habits and then your water, of course. And your top level here is going to be the calendar. All right. You can click on any of those days. And that was a new addition that they made because that was something that actually us coaches really wanted. And a lot of our clients did as well, especially our one-on-one clients. Now, of course, if you're not doing nutrition or water, just scroll past and you're going to see the first thing for the day, what you have on the docket for that day, all right, that workout. And of course, there's project progress metrics there and things like that. All right, now at the bottom of the screen, you're going to see that kettlebell icon. And the kettlebell icon, it says workouts. If you tap on that kettlebell icon, which I just did, you're going to see the detail of Tristra and the program that you're actually in. And even my one-on-one clients see what their descriptions are as well. If you read this is where you're going to know that we're in a deload and just the play by play, like, hey, what to expect, welcome, what to expect about deloads, especially if you're new here, and what to kind of focus on, what to use this time for with the deloads, and then what to do. Ideally, performing 2 strength workouts a week, so on and so forth. Explain finishers, explain mobility, stability, body weight workouts, as well as the yoga and yoga nidra, which are unique to this program. All right. Now, of course, you can also find all of these by tapping the big blue button plus sign in the bottom right hand corner of the app at any point. And then I go in further, talking about, hey, if you're limited on time, great, do movement snacks. Get as far as you can in the workout. That's totally fine. Bike intervals, great. If you're not able to make bike intervals, let's talk about it. Maybe replace it with a bike ride or whatever, outside, indoors, whatever. And then obviously maintaining your typical bike ride schedule on your own and then moving workouts around on the calendar to fit your schedule. Then you're going to see the workouts themselves. So you can show more here and you'll see the whole list of workouts that we have or I have programmed in there for you. So you can grab them and use them at any points. This is one way you can actually, choose one of the finishers or choose one of the yoga sessions. So just to make it extra clear, because I know with the updates and things like that, we've been kind of going back and forth about that. And knowing that this is the way that you can get to understand a lot of the why the hell I'm doing things or what the heck we have programmed, why we're doing it this way is going to be really key. And then if at any point, if you go back to your home screen here And then you go to, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. If you go to your goals, well, yeah, sure, you can do that. Goals are great. Goals are a great screen for you to see actually what the consistency or what the habit is that we're working on, right? And then if you actually tap on calendar at the bottom, so I tapped on the calendar icon. I have my background blurred, so bear with me. If you tap on the calendar icon at the bottom, that's where you're going to see your whole week's calendar. And this is where you can drag and drop. Now, the old app version, oh my God, it was impossible to drag and drop. Like I had to hold for forever, even on client, even for me as a coach on my clients' calendars. So it was frustrating as hell. So now it works a lot faster, but because it works a lot faster, you have to move slower. All right. And I know that we're used to moving really slowly, especially, compared to how we have done it before. So please just try to move it slowly. And as Cassie outlined, if you want it to move anything around at any point, or you lost something or whatever, you need to add something, all you have to do is just tap on that day that you want to add a workout. And then you're going to choose tap on the day and then choose workout or choose cardio or whatever. And if you choose workout, that's when you're going to go to the current program and then you can choose any of the workouts. Okay. So if something's lost, it's only going to take you a few seconds to get a workout added to your calendar. Okay. So deep breath. Technology is our friend. We can utilize our and have technology be our friend if we just take a moment. Because I know, trust me, it's very frustrating at first, but I don't want anyone to be frustrated. So, nice little intro for the first couple of minutes just to kind of talk about that. But let's talk about our month-long identity reset because that's what we're doing. You're still you. I'm still Jen. You're still, yourself. Nothing's changed about you. But if you do have some goals, now's a great time to really get clear on some sort of identity reset because that really puts you in the right mindset of who you are and who you can show up as. Now, for you all, the Shred Strong athletes in the group, I'm going to give you a weekly habit focus, all right? And the first week that we're doing is the show up identity. We're really trying to help with your identity of showing up, right? And build that. And the habit here is James Clear and BJ Fogg's very popular never miss twice concept. And if you miss a workout, that's okay. Life happens, life gets in the way, kids get sick, you get sick, that's okay. Just try not to miss two in a row, of course, unless you're sick. All right. And the reason this matters is because it really builds the identity of how you show up and that you're the person that does show up, even if it's imperfect. And that's why we really need to abandon that all or nothing thinking. And actually, I have a podcast episode dropping tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. But really talking about that mindset concept or that mindset shift of being perfect and, really striving for perfection and instead just striving for that consistent effort. And that's really what's going to make the big difference because consistency isn't about perfection. It's really about recovery from any of those misses. Okay. So if you happen to miss one of the workouts, it's totally fine. Life gets lifey. Just try not to miss two in a row. All right. Move it around, even if it means that you're just doing a condensed version of that workout for 10 minutes. All right. It does make a big difference because 10 minutes is a lot more than 0 minutes, right? Week two, we're going to be talking about you as a well-fueled athlete identity. All right. And the habit focus here is just to focus on having a little bit of protein and some carbs before or after your training sessions. Okay. Maybe it's in form of a snack or lunch or whatever. If you happen to do your training sessions fasted, that's okay. You can do that fasted. Just really focus on that post recovery meal, that post session meal. And the reason it matters is because your energy improves, your mood improves, your recovery improves, especially if you're feeling like you're a little bit more sore than usual, getting into the swing of things. And then training, it stops feeling like it's punishment. All right. And a fueled athlete, I just want you to remember this. A fueled athlete is just going to train better, full stop. All right. You're going to just feel better. You're going to be a better human. You're going to be a happier human. So let's embrace that fueled concept. And it's not going to be perfect. I'm not your nutrition coach by any means, but I am a nutrition coach by trade, and a health coach by trade. And being well fueled is what's going to help you really show up for your training effectively. Okay. Now, of course, again, if you're doing things fasted, totally fine. Continue that if that's what feels really good for you and works for you. I know it doesn't work for everyone, but just make sure that post-workout meal in snack is going to be good for you. And then the week three, as I look at my notes here, this is where we're going to be focusing on your recover first identity because one intentional recovery ritual every day, whether it's training day or not, is really ultimately going to help. And it can be as little as 1 minute long. We're talking about a minute of, or maybe 5 minutes of parasympathetic breathing. That's the breath work that I have you all do at the end of those unwind flows that really just helps with you getting your legs up the wall, helps you relax, helps you bring that heart rate back down, helps you unwind. That's why I call it an unwind flow. And the act of putting your legs up the wall, it also just helps relieve any pressure, especially if you experience any low back discomfort. And then on top of that, doing those deep parasympathetic breaths into the belly really helps reduce any type of stress response that you might have after a workout or a training session or an intense bike ride or whatever. Another concept, these are just examples. You don't have to do all of these. Just pick one, do it for a day, whatever. Putting your phone down 30 minutes before bed. Right? That's something I know I've been doing for the last week. As I hit the new year. Yeah, it's 7 days on the dot now. Holy shit. It is impacting my sleep so much. And I have just some issues that impact my sleep tremendously. And this is what's really, I'm noticing is really impacting my sleep in a positive way. So I'm putting the phone down, not watching TV right up to the time that I'm going to bed, which yes, I used to do, even though I know better. Coaches, yep, we still need coaches. Um, but I'm putting technology down for at least 30 to 60 minutes before bed. And I'm reading and journaling. So I'm doing a little bit of journal before bed. Got this really cool journal. It's so cheesy. You might not like it, but it's called Better Every Day. And it's from this company called Inside Then Out. And the reason I like it is because it asks really introspective questions, Uh, how would you describe your personality? All right. What's your mission? What motto do you live by? Write the intro to your autobiography. That was a fun one. Just random shit that I would never in a million years think to ask myself, or these are things that I haven't really reflected upon since college, grad school days, all right? When we're really trying to get into our understanding ourselves and things like that. So it's kind of cool as like a 40 something to do it. I don't know. It's again, I bought it, it was on sale. And the reason I got it is actually I bought a friend of mine whom I know would love something like this. Because she's very introspective. I bought her a journal and then it was buy one, get one free. And I was like, oh shit, well, okay, I guess I'm gonna get myself one. Well, I ended up really loving this journal. She did too, thank goodness. But again, you don't have to do something fancy like that. You can just have a regular journal, regular old black book journal, whatever, and just write some notes to yourself. It can be free writing. It doesn't have to even make sense to you. It can be a diatribe. It can be non-punctuated. It can just be a list of things that are on your mind. And it can be incomplete sentences. It doesn't even have to have the right punctuation or anything like that. It doesn't even have to have the right grammar because no one else is really going to read it, hopefully. And the reason that's really good to do that, quote unquote, what I call brain dump, or actually a lot of other folks call it a brain dump, before bed is because it gets the crap that's going on in your mind onto some paper. Just it's an act of releasing things. Again, journaling, it's not really for everyone. I get that, but sometimes when things feel a little icky or a little uncomfortable or like, no, I don't really need to do that, sometimes it's a sign that it could be beneficial for you and it could be something that you might want to explore. So just a little concept, same thing with breath work and just kind of doing those introspective things. I know it's not really for everyone and it feels really uncomfortable because man, you're getting into your own thoughts and it can just feel fucking weird. All right. I'm not going to lie. But sometimes those are the things that are actually going to be the most beneficial for us. Um, they help shine a light on the things that we might need the most. All right. But again, phone down 30 minutes before bed, maybe some journaling. I'm finding that that's really being so beneficial for me personally. May or may not work for you. Doing maybe some mobility while watching Netflix at night, that'll help wind your body down. Of course, if you're watching some action or high adrenaline show or movie right before bed, then that might be a little counterintuitive, but it can help you regulate yourself, all right? Regulate your parasympathetic system. Now, why this matters, this recovery first identity that we're going to be doing in week 3 this month, is because recovery is not an act of laziness. If anything, it's really strategic when it comes to your overall performance because you do get stronger when you're actually well recovered and well rested. All right. And, you don't adapt from the training itself, you adapt because of the recovery that you're implementing. So that's why third week, yeah, we're going to explore some easy, simple, not long, not a 3 hour freaking morning routine or 3 hour bedtime routine. I don't know about you, but I just don't have the time or capacity to do something like that. Instead, we're going to be doing things that take a minute to 5 minutes or so, however long you want it to take, and just helps you wind down, especially before bed. This is incredibly important, especially if you do notice that your HRV, heart rate variability, is elevated, or not elevated, excuse me, is reduced while you sleep. I know it is for me. Hello, I'm a perimenopausal 46-year-old. And it's because generally speaking, yeah, cortisol, it's going to be a little bit more elevated before bed. And we want to really implement those recovery metrics before we go to bed. So we want to foster that. So that's the next thing I'm doing. So this week I've just been dialing in my sleep and patterns and my routine, and it's working so well. Like I've been getting 8 hours of sleep, which I never do. Like I've just never done that. I've always been like a 6 hour person. That's always what felt best. Um, it's just what works. And then as I got older, to really try to implement, especially after had high blood pressure, tried to get into 7 hours. That felt really good, but I feel like I've just never been able to surpass 7 hours. Enter the journaling and reading before bed and no technology before bed. Holy hell. And I'm not on hormone replacement therapy or anything right now. So just to let you know, I don't know, this shit does make a difference. Um, week four. Week four, when we're going to dive into is process focused identity. All right. The habit focus here is to score the processes that you're doing every day, the process that you're implementing, the habits, and not the outcome. All right. So each day I want you to ask, hey, did I show up? Did I fuel effectively? Did I recover? You're going to reflect back on the previous month and especially that last week, that fourth and final week. That's it. Just some reflection because we want to be aware of this. And this is where your brain gets trained to value actions and not your scale weight, not your FTP numbers, not perfection. You want I want this for you. I want you to fall in love with the process, and the results eventually will become inevitable if you keep showing up and keep being consistent, right? So that's why we're doing this January challenge, is because I feel like sometimes we just get so uh just drawn out with, focusing on goals and chasing goals, and we're wondering why 2 days into January or 2 weeks into January we just give up. And it's really about implementing these little tiny habits one by one. Now, the other thing I did mention in the group chat was just, talking about, hey, like, is there a value? Are there values that you identify with? All right. And when I talk about values are in essence, the things that you are drawn to, that you value or place value on as a person. All right. And I'm pulling up the little core values worksheet that I have. And I've given this out. In fact, I'm not sure if I've given this out to the Shred Strong crew in years past, but this year, I'm kind of contemplating sending this out to you all. And it's just a core values worksheet. It has like 4 columns of words, and there are a variety of values. Some ideas here are achievement, adventure, authenticity. I'm just going to skip around. Community, compassion, health. It's a big one for me. Honesty, humor, influence, uh, fame, family, friendships, fun, responsibility, respect, reputation. There's a lot of values that you might just align with, right? These are the things that just sing to you and that you tend to rely on to help you navigate life, as cheesy as that sounds. And your core values are incredibly important just to have some sort of idea. What I usually recommend is, yeah, these are a lot. There's a lot of values, about 100 values on the sheet. And I ask you to circle your top 10 core values, then narrow down those to your top three, maybe even top five. All right. I know my partner, she did top six. I like top 3 to 5 usually. Mine, generally speaking, are honesty and health at a bare minimum. Those are always going to be my two that I'm always leaning on the most. When it comes to honesty, I want to be ethical as a person, but also as a business owner. And then I want to be ethical as a coach. And I want to just give the honest truth when clients are in need of something. What do I truly think could make an impact? And sometimes it's a little hard to share things that are really personal and that might, bristle folks, right? Of course, I try to do it as tactfully as possible. But I live my life by honesty in that regard. And then, of course, as a human, yeah, if someone asks me, how's this look? I am the worst. I am gonna say, again, I'll be nice about it, but again, like that's just how I live my life, right? And then, of course, health. Health is incredibly important. So I put that paramount because I'm under the belief, of course, I know I'm a coach and I'm biased, but without health, it's really hard to navigate life with energy and vibrancy and just that competency that you want to feel in your day-to-day life, right? But those are generally the two big ones that I live by. On top of that, usually I fluctuate between like community and compassion. What are some other ones? I just pulled it up the template. I don't actually usually have my other one. But yeah, just wisdom. Oh, wisdom's another one. I love to learn. I love to learn. But there is a point in time where you can just stop learning for crying out loud, and just like stop chasing the certifications, stop chasing the degrees and everything like that, right? So there's a lot of these. And of course, if you're interested in doing this, I might even bring it up to the group like, hey, here's the core values worksheet. Let me share it with you all. By all means, just reflect on your values. And the reason I bring this up is because knowing who you are as a person, and really reflecting on your core values, it's going to help shed a light on what's important to you and what you want to use as your North Star day to day. And this is something that you can utilize even in your day to day health adventure or health journey, whatever you want to call it. And I think it could be a benefit for some people. If you just wanted to add a little bit of like a different perspective to something, all right? Because if you know why you keep showing up to something, if this is really important for your values, your own core values, that is what's going to really help you say, okay, this is the why behind me showing up, and this is why it's important for me to continue doing it. Okay. But that gives you a play-by-play of what we have in store for the month ahead. But this first month is really just trying to focus on not missing twice, all right? Focusing on the habit of just showing up consistently and trying to not miss 2 workouts in a row or whatever that might look like for you. Milo is stalking me. He's look at this guy. He's such a nerd. He's stalking me. He's like, this is our walk time. I totally fully blanked. And I scheduled this during our Milo and I's usual walk time after dinner walk. So he's creeping. He's creeping. See his little head. Anyways, yeah, that's all I have for you, other than just sharing. Okay, I know I said this last month, but I'm going to repeat it. We're working on some glute strength. We're working on, really emphasizing that core strength galore, shoulders. It's basically, butts, guts, and shoulders, right? And that's going to be the big thing that we're focusing on, in terms of like just big uh, points of strength because getting strong in these elements right now, and of course, our leg strength overall, is really what's going to help you build that strength over the winter months. And then once spring comes and snow's melting, weather's a little bit better to get outside. Well, once we get our snow here in Colorado, you know what I mean? You're going to feel that much stronger. All right. And it's so cool because I've had a few of you tag me this past week and just how much better you're feeling, even over the past month. And that makes me so happy. Like one of you's not having any more low back pain, which is like, that's so awesome because I've had low back pain. It fucking sucks. And and I know this programming is not going to be like a solution to everyone's ailments because we all come to the table with different injuries and different histories. But my intention, the way I program and the way I've been trained is under a physical therapist, Dr. John Russin. He's fantastic. And I did a lot of my training under him after I did like the intro certifications, things like that, that you do as a trainer. But once I start to dive in again with my wisdom core value, right, I start to learn his methodology and just what we need to kind of help fortify our bodies a little bit more. So thanks to him and thanks to you all for continually showing up. All right. I'm just kind of I'm the navigator, I'm putting together the map, and you all are following it and really being super consistent with showing up and doing it on your own. So that I think says volumes, it speaks volumes to what you're doing. Um, Let's see what else. That's all I have on my notes. I wanted to keep this really nice and succinct, with everything going on. And I know Shawn actually joined us, so feel free. I know the feedback might happen, but feel free to unmute yourself if you want to, Shawn. And I thought someone else had joined, but I may have accidentally exited on them. So if you happen to click to join and I accidentally exited on you, I'm so sorry. That was not my intention. Um, yeah. What do you have for us, Shawn, from the pain
From
cave?
the pain cave.
I just want to say hello to everybody. That's about it. I don't want to squelch over you, so I'm going to mute myself back on so you don't echo.
Sean and I discovered when he hopped on that something with his microphone in his pain cave was causing like me to hear myself again. So whenever I talked, I was like, "Oh God, it's an echo. I can't. My eyes twitching. Oh my God." Do you have any questions though, Sean? Anything like that you've noticed maybe in the first few weeks, or you want to share with the group?
Biggest thing that I've noticed, let's see, is basically I'm gaining weight, which to me is kind of like a downer, but I know that I'm probably putting on a little bit of muscle. And, my biggest thing was coming down from 286 down to 240, and now I want to get down to 220. I have to kind of parse that out a little bit. It's the winter months. I understand that if I'm putting on weight, putting on muscle, I need to find a way to get lean in other ways. I know the gut is going to be the biggest one, like you say, the guts, the butts, and the shoulders. So my biggest concern now is burning on the calories, keeping that. And you can't spot reduce. I understand that. So it's basically going to be calorie dump, coming into a calorie deficit, a healthy calorie deficit, and just basically putting in the miles, getting on the butt in the saddle, and continually between that and the rowing, hopefully building enough lean muscle mass that'll pull back on the weight. That's my biggest concern right
How much weight have you gained in the last few months, if you don't mind me asking?
now. I probably put on about 4 pounds. It's been negligible, and it's within that variation, if you will. It's not something I'm too cool about. It's one of those things I work really hard to get down, but I do understand that is going to be that. I can see in my quads, I'm starting to get, from all the squatting, I'm starting to see that, okay, I'm getting definition in my quads now. So I guarantee you, I'm getting the leg strength. I'm also seeing the wattage coming up. So I'm seeing that in the legs. I'm getting more power. So that's where I'm thinking between that and my butt, I'm probably putting on a little bit of weight.
Oh man, I love it. Yeah, we're all about that booty here and Tread Strong. But no, so yeah, you brought up a valid point. It could very well be from muscle increasing for sure. Especially at like that current weight. I will say that is pretty common that I've seen, especially with the fellows that I've worked with over the years. Um, on top of that, don't want you to slash calories too dramatically, of course, like without really like knowing how you're eating and things like that. Biggest thing, the rule of three that I like to look at, really it's the rule of four, but the main rule of three that I like to look at is daily activity, just day to day. And especially if we're desk dwellers, that's going to be the hardest. I know that that is the hardest even for me because a lot of folks are like, but Jen, you're a coach. I'm like, nope, it doesn't matter because I'm a coach and I work mostly online. I only have a handful of in-person folks. So I am much more stationary than you would imagine. And I notice a big difference between the days that I get, 2 or 3,000 steps in a day, even if I'm biking, versus, if I'm aiming towards the 7,000 to 10 range. But I would say like just daily movement. So looking at that, looking at sleep and just how good you can make your sleep in the capacity that you're in. All right. Um, if you're a parent and you have small children, I'm going to go ahead and just say do your best, for those who are watching the replay. But I know for me, like I don't have very good sleep history. I have just long story short, I have a weird brain cyst and it causes me to not have great pituitary like sleep cycles. So it's like a genetic thing for me, or it's a anatomy thing for me that I can't really fix unless you take this cyst out, which you can't, unfortunately. And that's why I'm working so much on my sleep. Now, of course, I'm saying what works well for me, but what works really well for, a variety of clients is just trying to set a really decent and regular, consistent sleep schedule, even on the weekends if you can, getting really good about the sleep hygiene bit. So, like I shared earlier about, reading before bed, less technology before bed. Please, for the love of God, don't doom scroll right now. Don't look at the news. I know you might want to, and I'm not saying this to you specifically, Sean, but like even everyone that's watching this, like, please try to avoid the news at all costs and things that could stimulate you, and just say no to checking your work email one more time, even your personal email one more time, just because that puts us in a little bit of a fight or flight. If we're doing like that one last check before bed, try to avoid that. And again, just, dark as you can make it, as quiet as you can make it, unless you need a noise machine. If you're that type of person that needs a little bit of noise, great, fan, whatever it is for you. But maybe that means eye mask, maybe that means some earplugs, if you're comfortable with that. And I know everyone comes to the table with different things. So sleep hygiene, just making sure that it's restful as you can get. Of course, I understand that, hormones can obviously impact that, especially for, perimenopausal folks who might have, some sort of trauma that they've experienced that can impact sleep. And I'm not going to negate that by any means. But yeah, looking at daily movement, sleep, and then of course nutrition. That's going to be the foundation for a lot of things. I wouldn't suggest slashing calories too much, but become aware. If you're open to tracking your calories, great. Do it for a week or two. Just become aware of what you're doing, how much protein you're getting, where your carbs and fats generally speaking at, and then go from there. I would suggest maybe doing a 10 to 20% cut, if even, and just starting there, or focusing on making sure that you're at least fueling yourself around your fitness, around your training, right? So making sure that you have like a little bit of protein after your training, at a minimum, and some carbs to help replenish the energy. And same thing with maybe before your training, but at least do it before or after. But if you're really watching your carbohydrate intake, great. You know, don't neglect the carbs around your workouts, right? Around your training. Um, and then just become aware of it, but try not to slash it too much because then that can impact your sleep, which I know. Don't you love how circular this crap is? Because it's like, great, I'm trying to cut, a little bit of body fat. So I'm going to, cut my calories a little bit. And then you're like, well, shit, now I'm not able to sleep. And now I'm stressed because now I'm not able to sleep. And trust me, I've lived this before. And so that's why like a little baby cut can help. And then just being consistent with it as best as you can. Um, Last but not least, try not to cut your calories too much on rest days. I know that's counterintuitive, but you actually need some sort of caloric intake on those rest days, especially if you are a more mature athlete like we are. You just want to help nourish the body a little bit more effectively and not have an older, already stressed out body because we've been through corporate for longer periods of time and just stress longer periods of time, or military for you longer periods of time, that can have some residual stress. So you want to be cognizant of that and give your body a little bit of break. So try not to cut your calories on rest days either, at least not too much. I mean, do a little bit, sure, but don't like be like, oh, I can have 800 or less calories on rest days, because I'm just moving less. Well, then it's not really a rest day. Oh, go ahead.
I got one more thing for you. The other
Yeah.
thing that I've done is I put some kombucha in there, and I'm also looking at gut biome. So I'm playing a little bit of that with a lot of fermented cabbage, fermented pickles, trying to up that a little bit to try to keep some healthy gut biome in there. That's about the.
That is perfect. So that, remember when I was saying there's like a fourth like optional thing that's like, so you have the main three that I just shared. The fourth is stress. And with stress is gut health. And because gut health can be a stressor. Um, so stress management, yes, very important. I'm not asking you to sit on a cushion in the middle of the forest, but like do something to help manage your stress, especially before bed. Maybe that means kicking your feet up, on the wall, or doing something to just kind of downregulate you. So it actually helps with the sleep, right? But then gut health too on top of it, because if your gut's just not, you know, some of us may have taken antibiotics a lot. like as a kid. That was me for sure. I had like ear infections out the wazoo because of allergies. I know some folks experience some gut dysbiosis after viral infections recently. We've had plenty of that since 2020, right? So that can obviously impact the GI tract too. So I love, Sean, that you're focusing on like kombucha, if you're open to kimchi or yogurts, if you're not, lactose intolerant, obviously. Um, any type of, I'm not saying like take a probiotic, like we want to only do that if maybe the doctor prescribes it or if it's medically administered, just because some of those probiotics aren't actually not super beneficial. But the types that you can find on the shelf, yeah, definitely look at those. My only caveat, and I'm only saying this because I am also doing the same thing, Sean. It's like we're on the same journey. Um, I'm focusing on having some more kombucha and stuff. So I found this stuff from Simply, it's called Simply Pop. Unfortunately, it has added zinc in it. And I do not handle zinc very well, even if it's like the tiniest. I mean, Sean, I'm going to be personal with everyone here. Like it feels like someone's taken a Bowie knife and just like stabbing me in the stomach. It's that bad. Like my stomach is super sensitive to iron and zinc. So, but I didn't realize, and I was like, oh, it's probiotic soda and it tastes delicious because it's like lime flavor. I'm like downing it and I'm wondering why I'm writhing in pain this past weekend because I have it after my New Year's meal because, it was a little bit of a fatty French meal. So I was like, oh, I'll just do this. I felt like shit come January 1st. Like I couldn't ride my bike with my friends. I had to bail on a bike ride. I'm so sorry. Um, so that being said, be sure you're reading the label in case you are sensitive to things, in case you're sensitive, Sally, like I am to zinc. But yeah, kombucha is really great. I'm a real big fan of, dang it, I can my laptop. I'm such a big fan of this brand kombucha. Here, I'm gonna do something I don't normally do. Oh, okay. So I was gonna step on Milo. Hi, sir. Okay, so I'm putting the laptop in the fridge. Don't mind the raw meat. We still need to grill. This stuff is so good. It's called Health Aid Kombucha. It's like a ginger pineapple belly reset. I don't know if you've ever had it, but it's so tasty. I'm actually going to have some tonight. I'm going to leave that out. But that's a really good brand. Do you have the same brand? Or what do you have? Ooh, blueberry cinnamon? Oh, that sounds really good. I'm a sucker for blueberry. Okay. Yeah. Oh, damn it. Sorry you can't unmute right now because of our sound thing. But um I'm real big on that. But just again, like read the labels, just be cognizant of that in case you are sensitive. But I love that you're doing that. Seriously, Sean, that's really great. Fiber is also going to be your friend too when it comes to that, because obviously, the healthy gut bacteria feeds on fiber. So any type of greens that you can tolerate, yeah, I know some people can be sensitive with greens, given certain dynamics and things like that. So cook them as you need to, whatever you need. But yeah, hell yeah, Sean. And I know it can happen because there's been a couple of other people that have experienced that over the years, especially with Shred Strong. Because yeah, the way I program it's pretty. It's you can put on a pretty good amount of muscle for like how I program, especially with like drop sets and things like that. Um, but I'm trying to do it as an effective way because we don't have an hour and a half to spend in the gym, right? At least I don't, in terms of strength training and things like that. I do when I'm filming content, but that's a whole other story. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's effective at building muscle. It's just sometimes, you're like, oh shit, I'm building muscle a fair amount. So you're already doing the right things. I would say, yeah, just be aware of like what you're eating, how you're eating it, daily movement, do what you can with your sleep, things like that. Yeah, awesome. Cool. All right. Well, I'm gonna hit stop recording and then we can hang out.